Hi, and welcome to This Is Your Show. I'm your host, Mark Stenabaugh. We're located at the Rogers Community 20 station at 23 Harris Ave in Brantford, and the postal code is N3R7W5. If you have any thoughts or story ideas for This Is Your Show, please drop us a line. As a matter of fact, after last week's show with the impersonators, both female and male, we have had quite a few comments, and especially I'd like to clarify Linda Baker, who portrayed Elvis. She actually does her own singing. We had some comments that maybe she was lip syncing. Linda actually does the lyrics and the voice herself, and we applaud her efforts in keeping the memory of Elvis alive. Joining with me again, as normal, is my wonderful co-host, Songbird. I did that again. Peggy Pratt, and Peggy is well known for her singing in clubs such as Danny's Ho-Ho. And joining with us today is someone that was mentioned on last week's show, and we're so happy to have him, Richard Halliday. Richard Halliday is from the Image Source in Hazelton Lanes in downtown Toronto, associated with Blair Lancaster. Welcome, Richard. It's wonderful to have you.
Well, I survived the snowstorm. Nice to be here.
Thank you. And we're so happy to have you because I know Richard's a very busy person with the spa and other activities that he's going to speak about. But Richard is also the beauty consultant and does the beauty tips on the television show called The New Attitude with Catherine Swing. It's on most weekday mornings, and although it's not as good as my show, if you ever get bored, tune in.
And Mark, your attitude is new, so I think you should come down and do our
Most people would say it. Most people would say it's obnoxious.
It's new enough for us, so come on down. We'll hope to see you.
Terrific. I will come. You just say that, and
March,
I'll be
April.
there.
We'll talk.
Okay, Richard. What is the Image Source? What do you do?
Well, the company was formed because of the demands that art directors, film editors, fashion show producers, all aspects of the image industry put upon the market to have an actual person to assemble everything from hair design, makeup design, fashion sourcing, image sourcing, working with fashion stylists to create the materialization of an art director's dream. They dream an image, they call a person to help coordinate all the aspects, whether it be special effects from period and Renaissance right up to present day, fashion forward directions to create everything the way a commercial looks, the way a film looks, the way a fashion show looks, to become an integral reality instead of just a dream in their mind's eye.
And can I tell you?
Peggy, I wondered why you were putting your glasses on. This is unreal.
Can I do this too?
Yes, let's all. Do you have a pair of glasses?
Mine always have a funny nose attached to them, so I don't think
I've
I
seen
will.
those, Mark. I have seen those glasses too.
I hate to admit it, but I'm right there. Looky, he's gorgeous.
Well, you know what? I don't even have lenses in
So-
my glasses.
I've got it. I've
Take
got
them
it.
off now.
God bless you.
I've got to tell you.
Yeah, show that picture.
Richard started, and I'm going to ask him, but I know he started as a model many years ago, and that, if that'll come up on, that was Richard back in his modeling days, and you can see the, I'll go to Dorothy's camera, I guess. Does that pick up Dorothy?
That's when I had hair, Mark.
You have hair.
A little bit left.
I
What do you think, Peggy?
I feel the same way.
Get by.
In a little while, we'll show you some of the work that Richard's been involved with. But Richard, you did start as a model.
That's right. No, as a hairdresser first. Believe me.
Let's
long
hear
ago.
your history. Let's hear. We've got a half an
Yes.
hour.
Well, a small-town Burlington kid. He grew up. He went to beauty school in Hamilton at Bruno Schools of Hair Design.
I've been there. They did my
I've
hair
seen that.
for a prom that I
There
attended.
you
Believe
go.
it or not.
You were the one with the bow.
No.
You had your hair done at your prom.
No, it was somebody else's prom, but I was a guest of honor at it, and I happened to be in Hamilton the same day that I had to come back to Brantford to attend somebody's prom, and I can't remember whose it was or when, not to offend any of the schools that invite me, but I needed to have my hair done because the day that I try to do my hair, it always looks like hell, pardon the French.
Did you do his hair?
I think a long time once ago. He became a hair client of mine in later years.
Because he does have a different swing to it. That would be difficult if
I
he...
added a little swing once in a while with the hair part direction changing, and you know, imaging is.
And if the wind grabs it, it turns the sucker right around, and the swing is at the back.
Your readers really want to hear about this.
Made the
Your
wind at your
viewers-
back never be your own, you know.
Anyways, you started as a hairdresser, That's enough of expense at
I
my.
know.
Okay,
Sorry.
enough jokes at my expense.
Should I
please.
take my glasses back
Yes,
on?
I can go anywhere to be insulted, not just to come here. Carry
Well,
on.
the Burlington kid, he grew into the industry. He became a little enhanced and infatuated by hair, so he went further. He went to New York and he became a PR consultant for Revlon Ultima 2 by reading Vogue magazine from cover to cover and having advanced career exposure as a makeup artist along the way as hairdressing took me with Merle Norman and various local makeup and hair studios. Went onwards from there and tied on with Revlon out of New York, making the connection there. They called me and hired me as PR director of color development for Ultima 2. So I went national with department stores in the beginning as featured in-house makeup artist with Revlon and grew up from that point.
And when did you become? You were a model, though.
That's true. All the time during this was going on, during this process of the going on thing of beauty, I was modeling out of a New York-based and a Toronto-based agency. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, we may have some people in our audience who wonder, how do you become a model? And I would like you to give them some tips on.
Oh, sure.
What's the route? How you just don't walk down a runway? It isn't all glamour.
No, it's a devoted, integrated dedication. There's no doubt about that. And the experts that I affiliate myself with regularly, such as the Elmer Olsons and the Model Scouts, who is also a former hairdresser, having a good eye for things, you learn that great hairdressers make great model scouts and model developers in later years. Requirements for women for catalog must be 5'8", without any question whatsoever. Height, image, and form, and for high fashion, of course, upwardly from there up to 5'9", 5'10", and 5'11", and even to 6 feet if you're God blessed with great height. Believe it or not, skills of facial presence and learning how to use the facial proportioning is much more important than being pretty or being really exceptionally beautiful by nature.
Can you tell a difference in me from the time I walked in? He did my cheeks.
We polished down the blush just a little.
Yeah,
now the
I
true
have
beauty of your face evolves.
I have a tacky tendency.
Oh.
More is always better.
Unfortunately, a lot of Americans, those women I worked with from Cleveland in the past, all told me
Peggy
the same
isn't
thing.
American.
That's what we talked about.
But
Peggy
Canadian
isn't
by
American.
injection.
That's
Yeah.
right. She come here by choice.
That's right.
Yes.
And she settled into a very good thing. But Americans do have this access to excess. They seem to feel that more
Right.
is more.
Yes.
It's true. So toning down sometimes prettily is more successful. But the integrity of the industry belongs to women who are 5'8" and up, and for men 5'11" at least for couture or high fashion runway work. But for photographic purposes, you don't have to be overly tall, but catalog houses usually won't see you below 5'7.5" at the most minimum. You have to be petite to work below that mark, like 5'2" to 5'3".
I'm out.
There's also a
we're
market
both
for
out.
petite women.
You could be the tallest man in Canada. There's a lot of short
I
men
could.
in Canada.
I used to
find
model
that.
pub tents for Boy Scouts International, so there you go. So I was a model at one time.
So you did Field and Stream. That's
Oh,
where I
yes,
saw you.
I
on
was
the
their
inside back
centerfold,
cover.
popular mechanic. Okay, so where do you find a person? Where do you find a modeling agency? I don't think there are very few in Brantford, if any.
Well,
No, I don't think so. There's one in Cambridge.
some of the greatest models and former Miss Canadas that I've worked with in the studio to develop their image for further media hail from this area. Look at Patricia Helfer, our reigning supermodel of the year, is a West Coast-based girl from Winnipeg. There's so much beauty in the untapped resources of the hinterlands of Canada, and especially to this area. We're very proud to say that so much of it passes through our chair to develop right in the Toronto marketplace before they get instantly sent to Japan or Europe or Milan, where there's really extremely high guarantees for their application of their time in their careers, because they'll
So
be paid cash instantly.
Most of our
at the
people are
end
better
of
to
their
go
jobs.
to Toronto and find a reputable model agency and apply to them, and it's not guaranteed that you're going to be accepted.
Extremely true. And Blair Lancaster has, of course, her own management source for beckoning models, right, as part of the spa, luxury saturation of everything nature didn't give you, we can give you at the spa in Toronto, including an image, hair,
saw that
body,
last
skin,
week.
soft skin, full skin, all
Painted
the
on
good things
cleavage.
that you need. And Blair has a great agency that stems local work, picking up options to other agencies that see the girls locally successfully working well. They'll pick up from there and take them onto the international market plane.
So you don't model as much as you did.
Well, when they need old gentlemen to put a baby in their arms and having a little kid with a father-son kind of image or a father-daughter kind of image, I still get calls at Pringle and Booth for Sears and various aspects of catalog houses and things of that nature.
Do you have any voice training?
I had 2 years of...
His voice is just so calming, isn't it?
Isn't it odd? Being a Burlington kid, I can't believe all these things happen
we're
to me.
erratic.
We're just like
we're all over the place, like, woo!
I guess Daddy-O's sitting out there right now in Burlington saying, God, I'm proud, but I actually did take 2 years of broadcast journalism at Ryerson because of the presentation skills of the fashion and beauty mecca, so heavily booked with the TV show at Channel 11 and so many personal interviews you do by endorsement. Thank you again for having me right here. You use your presentation skills immensely, and an image presentation is next to godliness. To be able to follow it up, to be able to have the polish and the resurrection of mind as well as the image, I think
So your
is
recent
success.
endeavors have been, we've talked about what you started as a hairdresser and a makeup consultant and a model. What are you doing now within the last year?
Well, it's interesting because this year Ford Supermodel Organization picked up my option when I was gracefully chosen to represent the 1993 CoverGirl ad campaigns through Gray Advertising. I now go from a makeup studio with hairspray and brush to create the polish for these women and men that we groom to sitting in a boardroom helping Conan Wolf and various aspects of the CoverGirl empire with Ford Supermodel, which is Ford Supermodel's primary sponsor, CoverGirl Cosmetics. I now help them make boardroom decisions on the direction and the image of presentation and unique properties that go on within the company that result in the finalization of the way their ads are going to look in glossy pages of magazines.
Do you think he's that comfortable sitting with those women as he is with us? Like,
I know he is.
Do you know?
I know he is.
As you both are real people, you know that all people breathe and live and
That's the
fail
nicest
and
thing
get
anyone
up on.
said to me today. You're a real person. Thank you very much.
Do you know what the
That's
truth of it
important.
all is? Don't you agree, guys, that if your life's going along too smoothly, you're just not taking enough risks. And I really think that you've got to get out there and
So
take
things
those
are going
chances.
smoothly. I figure I did something
I'm nervous.
wrong.
I get real scared because I know something's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. I want to show some of the things that you've been working on. Man.
Sure.
And I hope that these will pick up if I hold them correctly. Is that correctly, Dorothy?
That's Justine, who has just been picked up by Elmer Olsen Agency. She's lost her 15 pounds, and she's one of the final
On
contestants.
the left or the right?
Under primary consideration to Ford Supermodel for this year's up-and-coming big final contest in Mexico. I believe the finals will be in March. And she's a local girl from the metro area who is going higher and higher.
What's the age limit on modeling, would you say?
For young girls now, they won't even consider you to begin the industry for high fashion if you're any older than the ripe old age of 15. 15 is the ideal age for breaking into the marketplace.
1-5, right?
Yes, 15 with an image with a guarantee of change.
I missed it by a year.
And you know, Peggy and Mark, the funniest thing, most girls walk in front of a test camera when they think, I'd like to be a model locally. They try to do their own hair and their own makeup and groom their own wardrobe. It's a major mistake
Who is
because...
this that I'm just flashing here? I'm sorry.
That's one of the models with Models International out of Toronto, who we just groomed for the Adrian Vidadini account that's shooting locally for the Adrian Vidadini fashion source in Hazelton Lanes, and she'll go on to work with their major ad campaigns from just doing local work for the store. And you know the name. I'm sorry, my love. There's so many girls. This name I have drawn a blank on. Forgive me. She is a delightful person with a real name, and it'll
sure
come
she
to me
won't
in
see
a
the
minute.
show anyways.
There's so many aspects of it.
Short-term memory
Would you
loss.
be interested in knowing about Kathy Dennis, who I've groomed for Polygram Records?
I don't know. I hope we can get this one.
Now, we work in the media with celebrities of voice. Unfortunately, so many of these women don't appear at the studio for their tapings looking the way they sound. Their connections with the way they sound are so remote from the way they actually appear as real people. They show up quite often looking very undone and very plain because they've never had the knowledge or the expertise of grooming. So our job to work with people like Polygram and celebrity development within these record companies is to give these women an image that looks rather the way they sound. So their image and their dynamics of their voice actually connect.
After I lost 30, 40, 50 pounds, how long would it take to put me together?
About 40 minutes maximum.
No kidding.
And maybe someday we'll come back and do an actual makeover segment. and maybe feature yourself if you want to publicize it.
Well, I'd have to
Maybe
go on the diet first.
your image is
We'll
all
go on
Take
it
the diet.
together.
But weight is a very extenuating factor, Mark, and you know about those
Oh,
things.
Lord.
Yes.
Tell me about it. Everybody loses weight and I always find it. This one, you did this one, didn't you?
That is for Johnson's Baby Shampoo.
Okay,
yes.
and since Johnson's is here, located in Brantford, we should show this ad that Richard did do, and for once we'll get a man's shot. You've probably seen this ad, Never Mess With My Hair.
And it's just
From
kind
Richard.
of fun to realize that a lot of these talents are brought in from the most insignificant small crossroads in towns that end up finding themselves planted in the mainstream of the industry because these men and women do have the height, they do have the presentation skills, and they were willing to allow the image industry to create them for the purpose of the communication. The way I would make you look for This Is Your Show would be very different than the way I would make you look for Entertainment Tonight. It's all a matter to do with the communication at hand and how to fit the image of your presentation into the communication.
Well, and it's the same, Peggy and I have talked about this before. We dress far differently for doing a show than we do to go to the nightclub at Danny's when we're invited to host something or to partake. Then a nightclub is more glitzy and glamoury. If we're like that here, we don't seem as at ease, like we're supposed to be in your living room, and that's what we're hoping that the people feel, is that we're actually sitting in your living room and talking directly to each viewer.
Well, I truly believe that we're all just unpolished pieces of coal that did well under pressure. So those diamonds do emerge, and I think the relativity there is,
I find most of them.
Yeah.
Okay. I see this in the back, and I want you to tell, what is this center?
Well, sure. This is a makeup
Picture.
script that we create for an art director when an image is applied at hand for, I'll let you hold it because you know
Look here.
And I'm
light.
hoping that,
I know I'm back in the 50s.
Just like
when I
writing
put
a
mine on.
script for a play or a
Yes.
book.
is that picking up or is that getting glare, Dorothy?
When we do an ad campaign for a cosmetic ad or a fashion layout, a script has to be submitted to an art director and the creative geniuses behind the mechanics of the ad, so they give a feeling and a direction of the kind of beauty communication that we're designing that works with the launch of the collection or the launch of the ad campaign. And quite often we're working with designers when we're featuring beauty on hair, on models, on makeup, on hair, and relativity to the fashion picture. Because Mark, you know I believe that hair and makeup are fashion's most basic accessories. We use the face and hair as a fashion accessory to format the ad or the communication on the runway to enhance the designer collections as they emerge from the runway. And this is submitted to an art director prior to a show or a shoot to give a direction of how makeup and color comes together in the actual development.
So much like a play,
That's right.
or a script where we learn what to speak, the art
That's
directors
so
learn
true.
what the person is going to look like.
In the serious lane of image communication, all of those variables have to be set prior to the time of the shoot or the collection. So the models quite often are made up identically to create a very powerful impact on the runway, and those basic accessories tuned with the pulse of the music and the lighting of the show are integral in the format's development.
What happens when somebody comes in off the street to your salon or once and they say, I want to look like that?
I asked them to take a really good look at themselves, and we have a real, honest to goodness
Mirror, mirror.
I have done that.
conversation.
I've gone through books. You know, you go to the hairstylist and they give you all these huge albums. You flip through them, you find one. You say, that's what I want. And you never look like it.
Well, they
like,
have
I
the
think it's
computer
ludicrous.
now, you know, that you could see what you look like on the computer, don't they do
They
that?
certainly do, and many of the cosmetic houses use this beauty computer to put you into long hair or different colored makeup or change your skin tones or add short hair without actually going under the blade, so to speak. But to me, unfortunately, I feel that takes the artistry out of what we do. The true artistry is coming with molding and shaping as an artist is to clay. The computer is a 90s answer to instant imaging, but unfortunately, I can't support it as I'm aware of it, because we have to be associated, but I love the artistic old format of working and shaping and molding.
What tips would you give to somebody that wants to have an image makeover?
Have a realistic idea of where you'd like to see yourself, and not just tomorrow, but in a week or a month or a year's time, because we do a format development review as the image progresses in success of being able to do it him or her on her own at home, so she has an ideal direction of what she'd like to look like. The first thing I ask a woman or a man is, how don't you want to look. It's easy to imply a new image.
Like this.
But you have to, they all say that too. It's the
Well, they
oddest
bring
thing.
pictures of me in and they say like that?
Now, from time to time, Mark, you've been a hair client of ours, and you know that we do tend to be careful with realities. So, but the envisionary goodness of what a good image will do for you should take you beyond a little reality and make the fantasy occur.
I am a fantasizer. I'm a dreamer.
Sure.
Well, it's not bad. Like if
So
you've got
polish
somebody
it.
there and it's just for one night, you can usually carry it off. But if you expect to do it every day, it's just, it's ludicrous to think that you're going to be able to have somebody come to your house every morning and fix your hair so that you look like you originally did. You don't mind it for some big event, but outside of that.
Sure. And to me, that's not a reality. It's a fantasy that's fun to do 3 times in your life, and everybody should have a hair and makeup person come to their home to make them feel like a star.
Or go to a
because
spa.
when you look marvelous, you're right, or come to the salon and let us do it. When you look marvelous, you instantly instill new confidences. And even in the CEO level, in the executive fast lane, image and protocol are so much a part of success. When I work with fabulous image experts like the people at Premier Image and Shannon Smith, who I hope might do your show someday too, she subcontracts me to make her CEO level executive men and women go higher through the corporate roof because of the fact so many of these CEO level executives don't even know how to use a fork or tie their tie properly. They have the knowledge and the insight and the energy for wanting to perpetuate life in the career fast lane because they have the brains, but they don't know how to connect the image to the mind.
If someone like Peggy is wanting to go to your spa, what are some of the services that you can offer to the people who are interested?
I'm hoping he's going to wash my hair.
Like I think a lot
A good
of
massage is good.
I think a lot of people have heard of spas, but I don't think that they're that common around here. Like we hear about the rich and famous going to spas.
Well, at the Blair Lancaster Spa and the home of my company, the Image Source, which is part of it, a woman starts usually with the aesthetics division, pummeling the body, the skin, and the internal senses to relax with the balancing of the psyche. So when beauty does evolve, as it naturally will with working with top and hair and makeup people, inside confidence exudes as a result of the polish of the apple being positioned with the finishing touches. So you have a beauty inside that is relaxed and confident when it leaves. So tuck away the woes and ills and get on with the things you never could before by having a good massage and
Except
the beginning.
the things you cannot change.
Yeah,
Yes.
those track records that have been, and records, period, we can't evolve or change sometimes, but at least you can make yourself feel better about pending ails and ills from the past.
So massages are offered then?
All aspects of kinesiology, aromatherapy, which is the art of...
Which we've done. We have had aromatherapists
so you know
and
about that.
reflexology here. Of course, you do hairstyling.
All aspects of advanced hair cutting and hair design, of course, with makeup artistry. As I finish a client with the 2 balance of hair and makeup working together, I always make sure she has a good concept of how to do it herself. And we prescribed one of these beauty prescription charts that the colors are actually blocked in, so this goes home and sticks right up on a woman's mirror when she goes to do her makeup next as a guidance and a reference
I'll take this and show
guideline.
Dorothy. Here,
Sure.
Dorothy, looky.
So it evolves into a chart that looks someone like the one you showed earlier, with color placement and all aspects.
So this would actually be done in color for the individual so that they know what
Right.
they're doing in the
And when
light. It's a
working with a film
roadmap to your
company.
face.
If I was, you know, now I want to stay on top of the makeup and because I'm still back in the dark ages when it comes time for putting it on. What magazine or where would I look to stay on top of things? You know, there's thousands of them out there.
But the Beauty Bible that I, as a beauty expert, and many of my associates actually help create as well as read is Allure from LA, which is an American West Coast-based operation, which is the vogue of beauty. It features nothing but cosmetic, hair, fabric directions, and that's where most of our makeup and hair, full of how-tos.
Yes.
Allure is a very illuminating issue when it comes to learning about oneself in front of the mirror, because it all comes from fabric directions every season from the collections. When a makeup script is devised by a cosmetic company, it's all to do with what Milan and Japan and the Euro sourcing is doing with color and fabric. And Allure brings all that awareness into the palm of your hand, so you take your skin tone, look at the clothes you love to feel good in, and learn to make up and balance your hair according to.
Just quickly, because I want to have time for Peggy to do a short number for us at the end.
Let's have her sing.
How much, I know that people are probably sitting at home saying, it's wonderful to say I should go to a spa. Approximately how much is it going to cost me? Like, am I going to have to go without groceries for a month? Or how does it work? Like, you know, if you're a real dog, it's going to take a lot of bucks to make you look good. So, like, I go to Pluto's retreat.
Well, you could You could.
I won't even touch it.
Don't touch that. Just quickly, what's the price range we're looking
Quick
at?
beauty fix, you could find yourself with just makeup and hair with me at $165 for a haircut, image, and makeup at a half mini day, which is 2 hours to 4 hours, depending, starting at $99 for nails and skin, and then upwards from there to approximately the $395, $400 a day mark with the works, including valet parking.
How long will the makeup stay on?
And lunch. But the makeup is integral
Well, just
because
cemented on.
you learn to do your own. So you can do it again.
I'm going to ask Peggy to indulge us with a song, as we do every week, just before I wrap up. Ladies and gentlemen, Peggy Pratt.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Maestro, please.
When you were mine, I was still playing, and the promises you made to me, they were words that I was saying, 'cause I was playing you for a fool. I broke love's precious rules. I did you so wrong. Guess you knew all along that I had my boss laugh on me when he said that I'd be working late again. Had my friends alibi for me when I slip out for a day. But baby, can't you see I was only cheating me? And before you go, I just want you to know I've had a change of heart. I've had a change of heart. I know what I put you through, but I'll make it up to you. I've had a change of heart. I just got to show you how differently I feel, and I gotta let you know, yeah, my friends, I'm really for real, but my past will forever haunt me when you say that you don't want me. I'm down on my knees and I'm begging you, please have a change of heart. Please have a change of heart. I know what I put you through, and I'll make it up to you. Oh, I've had a change of heart. Please have a change of heart. Won't you have a change of heart?
Bravo. Thanks, Peggy. As always, it's a pleasure to have you with us. I'll see you next week, I'm sure, because
I can't wait to see
you're always with me. And Richard Halliday from The Image Source in Hazelton Lanes in association with Blair Lancaster.
Great.
And I love to have you. I hope you'll come back and you will do an image makeover. And if Peggy says it's okay, it's okay. How much time do I have left? I have 1 minute. Just instead of doing my thought for the week, I wanted to do a Did You Know segment. 1993 is the anniversary year of many famous events, and during the next few shows I'm going to highlight them. Did you know that the Sutra, the world's second oldest book next to the Bible, was first published in China 1,125 years ago this year? The Ming Dynasty began its 280-year rule by restoring the Great Wall of China. 500 years ago this year, Christopher Columbus, on his return voyage to America, first brought horses. 470 years ago, the Mennonite religion began. 40 years ago, Her Majesty the Queen ascended the throne, and 30 years ago, John F. Kennedy, President of the United States, was assassinated. Just food for thought. I'll see you next week on This Is Your Show. I'm Mark Stenabaugh. Bye-bye.
But baby, can't you see I was only cheating me? And before you go, I just want you to know I've had a change of heart. I've had a change of heart. I know what I put you through, but I